Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be trying to see if we can beat Pokemon Eon Guardians with only one type. I have a wheel here before we start with all the types, so if we give that a little spin we get Psychic. Okay, well that actually works perfectly since Latios and Latias are the main legendaries here. I'll also lay a few ground rules just so we're on the same page here. We will be playing on hard mode, and that also means there will be level caps as well. No items can be used in battle, and we have to use set battle mode. But that's all the rules. Let's finally get into this. We start our adventure off in our room when we're called to come down by our mum since our sister is here. She's actually a gym leader, but we'll get to that later. We make some small talk about what starter we're going to pick, but honestly it doesn't really matter for us since there are no psychic type starters. We explore the town a little bit before heading into the lab where we're stopped by another trainer on their way to get a starter as well. Her name is Sub, and we both head in to choose our starter, but it turns out there's another trainer coming in today whose name is Scribe. Put them together and you get Subscribe, which is what you should do if you enjoy this video. Anyways, we go and pick our starter first. This doesn't matter, so let's just skip past all of this. While Sub goes in to pick our starter, Scribe challenges us to a battle. Once we defeat him though, he instantly takes off. Sub and the professor come back out just in time to catch the postman delivering some mail, but I guess they messed up the orders and now the professor wants us to go and find her actual package and swap it. I feel like you could probably just call them instead, but sure, whatever, get a child to do all the heavy lifting. We start going through Route 9 until we get to the top of a mountain where we can find the weather station. Inside, we let Professor Khalid know that we need to swap the packages and he hands it over to us without a problem. So now it's all the way back down to the lab where Professor Spruce gives us our Pokedex to officially start our journey. Since we don't have a psychic type yet, I make a beeline straight toward Route 1, trying to skip as much as possible. We reach Little Quartz Town where we still don't have access to any psychic types, so I guess we have to keep going. Past Route 2 is Titania City, which I guess is kind of like the capital city of this region. We meet up with Sub here, who gives us a bit of a history lesson. Nothing interesting here, but we do take our time exploring and talking to every NPC here to make sure I get any free items. But anyways, that's enough. We still need a psychic type. So down to Route 3 we go, where we have to enter Titan Cave. Now, this is going to be the first place we can find a psychic type Pokemon, which ends up being a Meditite, which is actually pretty good. Medicham is a pretty underrated Pokemon, but we name him Fry Jr., of course, like with all our other starters, and that now means the challenge can officially start when we're now only allowed to use psychic types. After getting out of the cave and onto Route 4, we spot a Latias randomly. Once it runs away, we find it dropped a Soldew. This is also when we meet Rebecca, an explorer interested in Latios and Latias. She tells us a bit more about them before saying she has to get back to her work. Route 4 doesn't really have much to offer us either, so we jog past and end up in Amberdale, which is the town that Sub is from. Inside the Pokemon Center is a trainer blocking the way, and it's actually the trainer we helped save from the evil team. Do I have any recollection of doing that? Absolutely not. It's not written anywhere in my script, but I guess it was just in the cave or something from before. Man, I need to be more organized. But more importantly, they gift us an egg with a very special Pokemon inside. We take our time doing everything around the town, like chasing this thief around, until we get bored and head to the gym where Sub is standing there. She challenges us to a battle, which turns out to be pretty damn hard, especially when we only have one Pokemon right now. So after taking a hard L, I train Fry Jr. up more and also get the egg to hatch into an Eevee, which we nicknamed Treadmill for obvious reasons. But this is great because Eevee can evolve into the psychic type Pokemon Espeon, but not right now. I mean, I'm still gonna use Treadmill because otherwise this would actually be impossible for the first gym, but hey, I make the rules. What are you gonna do about it? We challenge Sub again, but keep losing again and again, and every time we lose our money gets halved, so I was getting pretty broke. But finally, after way too many attempts, we survive on 1 HP and finally defeat her. This is not looking good for the challenge. I'm very glad this is not a Nuzlocke. And hey, inside the gym is even worse. We get thrown around like a ragdoll with these trainers, losing left and right. Somehow, someway, we do eventually manage to get to the gym leader Patricia, who is an electric type specialist. And let me tell you, this was the roughest part of the video. I lost track of how many times I lost against her. But I'll just spare you the details. After the most grueling hour of my life just trying to RNG my way through with this hopeless team, I managed to get past all her Pokemon and finally take down her stupid Pachirisu. I'm telling you right now, I want to crush that little rodent with my bare hands. But whatever, we defeated her and that's all that matters at this point. We finally have our first gym badge. That means we can finally progress now after being stuck in this town for God knows how long. So we head into Route 7 where we didn't do a whole lot except grind some levels out. Right next to Route 7 is the Emerald Forest, however, which is pretty dangerous for us, especially because of this trainer blocking our path who says we have to defeat him in battle before we can get the ability to cut down trees. The only problem is that he has a Scyther, and if you know anything about that Pokemon, is that it hits like a truck in the early game. So unfortunately, I do end up losing quite a bit here. I won't lie, the early parts of this game for this challenge is absolutely grueling. I end up going back to all the previous towns and cities to tie up any loose ends with side quests and items. Eventually, after a lot of grinding and preparation, I do manage to beat the guy, but it was not a fun process. We eventually do manage to make it out of the forest, but my recording glitched, so you won't actually see me getting out. But we reach Route 8, which leads to Ladisha, where we spend the next few hours of our lives. But before that, we can add a fair few new Pokemon to the team. The first being a male Rotz, which we nickname War, as well as a female one nicknamed Lee. And yes, I'm allowing myself both evolutions if it needs be. We also catch 2 Hollow the Chingling, 6-7 the Abra, that name will make sense later, as well as LeBroink the Spoink. I can't lie, my nickname game is on point today, if I do say so myself. But that means for the first time, we now have a full team. Is it gonna help us much for this upcoming gym? Absolutely not, because holy hell are we weak. And there is not a lot we can do before going to the gym to help us power up. Back on Route 8, there's a boss Pokemon Chimecho, and with a team full of psychic types, we are not taking that thing down. If we head downwards, we get stopped by Scribe, who completely wipes our team out with ease because he also has a Scyther. So I'm kind of at a loss here. I lost track of how many times I attempted the gym fight. I tried every combination of 3 Pokemon possible, but it genuinely drove me crazy. We ended up grinding everyone to the level cap, which is 20, and Abra evolved into Kadabra and both our Rotts into Curlier. Since we're only allowed to bring 3 Pokemon in here, it got pretty difficult. On the actual successful attempt at this gym against the dark type leader Seth, we led with 6-7 to hidden power the Sableye since he had a fairy type hidden power. It gets Sableye down to the red, but 6-7 also does get obliterated by a Shadow Claw, which means we're already down a Pokemon. That means Curlier can come in to get a free hit since he'll heal, so we hit a Disarming Voice which takes half. We outspeed and another one takes it down before a Murkrow comes out. It confuses us, but we break past to use Disarming Voice, which takes a decent chunk. Next turn though, he hits a Drill Peck, which brings us down to exactly 1 HP while we're confused. But we manage to break past and kill it. The Ace Absol comes out now, which decides to set up a Swords Dance first, which is great for us kind of, since we can now get a Disarming Voice hit. The next turn though, we get taken down, but since we hit that Disarming Voice, Fry Jr. can come in to outspeed and one-shot it with an Aura Sphere, which grants us our second badge. I'm telling you, everything there had to line up perfectly for me to even have a chance there. From the confusion to the 1 HP to the Swords Dance, when I beat Seth, I was honestly so done. But now we come back to the problem of beating Scribe. His Mightyena and Scyther especially are a massive pain to deal with, but we do manage to beat him eventually as well, somehow. I don't know how I beat a Mightyena and a Scyther at this stage of the game with this team, but this means we now have access to round 9, where we can add another psychic type to our PC, and that turns out to be a Drowsy we call... Whoa, I don't remember putting that name. But regardless, after exploring the route a little bit, we find that a Mareep herder is blocking the path to the next town since they lost a few of their Mareep. And now we're tasked with the job of finding them in the nearby canyon. Oh boy, I sure hope there's nothing hard about this quest. We end up catching a Wynaut on this route as well, just to have another psychic type, but once we reach Copper Canyon, we meet up with the Mareep herder's daughter. She tells us we have to find 3 Mareep scattered across the canyon. The first 2 are pretty easy to find, however, the last Mareep seems to be surrounded by 3 Poochyena. Seems simple enough. So we have to fight them off in a triple battle, 3 versus 2, which is pretty cool. It's smooth sailing to take down the Poochyena, and you'd expect that to be it. But apparently they start calling for help. And then a boss Mightyena shows up. Are you kidding me? Another one? This guy is literally invincible to my psychic types. What am I supposed to do here? So I'm back to trying to prepare properly, and now I have to get a good RNG battle in. Having to do this battle after the struggle of the first gym, the Scyther trainer, the second gym, and then the battle against Scribe, I've spent a solid chunk of this playthrough just dying over and over again to Mightyena and Scyther. Oh, and did I mention the Mightyena has Moxie, which increases its attack after every kill. Eventually, we do get really lucky with a few high rolls, and we defeat the Poochyena and Mightyena. I'm just trying to skip past this quickly since it took me so long, so that's that. We save the Mareep and can get rewarded with Mareep Wool, which I think is important for later. We now get access to Mama Town, which is a quiet, flowery town. There's actually a breeder in the corner over here who gives us the choice of a baby Pokemon egg if we defeat them. So I quickly do that and we can get ourselves a Smoochum egg. I'm not sure if we'll use Jinx in the future, but it's good to have an extra psychic type in the PC. Above Mama Town is Route 6, where we catch a Natu, and there's also a few side quests here for us to do, like finding a Munchlax, going into a well, and exploring the power plant where there's a boss Rotom in the basement. We can also catch a Bronzor and a Beldum here, which will be very useful once Beldum evolves. But that's pretty much it. This section of the map is like a subsection. So we go back to where the Mareep were blocking and head into Route 11, where we overhear some of the Team Gaia grunts. I think now is a good time to tell you guys that Team Gaia is the evil team in this game. I don't know what they want to do right now since I haven't really been paying attention to the story, but I'm sure we'll discover that later together. Afterwards, we can stroll right on through into Granite Deep City, which is actually massive. We also meet Sub here, who talks to us for a bit before we recognize the mailman nearby, but they then get stopped by Team Gaia, who want a package of his. He runs away, so we all have to chase after them. I'm not in a rush though and take my time exploring the city. There's an NPC in the city who trades a Slowpoke for a Ponyta, which is an absolutely perfect trade for us, so I take that trade immediately and we get ourselves Homer the Slowpoke, which is great for us since we now have water coverage. There's also the game corner in the city, but there's no psychic types as a reward, which is kind of sad since I wanted to gamble. But after exploring everywhere, we do eventually catch up with the others and we have to fight the Team Gaia grunts together. It's pretty light work, but after we beat them, the boss of Team Gaia shows up suddenly for seemingly no reason other than to aura farm. But then the gym leaders show up to out aura farm him, and now I'm stuck in the middle of this weird situation. We eventually find out that inside the package is a bunch of evolutionary stones, and they wanted to destroy it since they don't believe Pokemon should evolve through tools. They should rather level up to evolve, and if they can't, they should just perish, which is kind of insane. But they run off, and now we can gain access to the gym fight, as well as a reward of any evolutionary stone of our choice. We decide to pick up the Sunstone, since in this game, it's the stone that's used to evolve Eevee into an Espeon. We get Curlier to evolve into Gardevoir as well, which means our team is getting a massive power spike. But with that, we're making a few changes to our team, like adding in Steven the Beldum, and no, I'm not talking about that Steven, I'm talking about
Steven here.
Anyways, this next gym turns out to be a poison type, and let me tell you how relieved I was to hear that this was going to be a breeze. I quickly went through the gym, beating the trainers, completing the puzzles, and beating up the two gym leaders. I would go into more detail, but it was just psychic type move spam. And with that, the level cap has risen again, and we can take some more time to complete a few more side quests, like finding the thief again and picking up some trash. Turns out the side quest with the thief is pretty important later on. We decide to go to the dock where we're spotted by Scribe. Of course, he challenges us to a battle, but our team is doing much better now with stronger Pokemon and evolutions. We managed to defeat him fairly easily. Inside the building here, we can also take the ferry ticket to Coral Town, which is our next stop in our journey. We take the time to evolve Meditite into Medicham, which is huge, and also Beldum into Matang. Coral Town is a small coastal town with not a lot being here, but there are a lot of side quests we can take care of. But Route 15 is next, where we can catch an Execute as well. This route also leads to the cave called the Devil's Wreath, which I don't know if I want to explore more based on the name. It's a bit freaky in here, but we do come out to the other side into the Topaz Desert. We managed to catch a Boltoy in this desert, as well as a Lunatone and Cellrock before reaching the Oasis town in here. There's actually a gym in here, which is surprising. It's the fire type gym, which kind of makes sense. I would have expected a ground type gym, but maybe that's too obvious. But the gym's gimmick is the ice tile puzzle sort of thing, where you have to step on every tile without going over one you've stepped on already. Eventually, we reach Flint, the gym leader of this place, and it goes pretty easily, honestly, since Medicham can hit them pretty hard with a super effective Rock Slide. So that's another gym badge down. Outside of the gym, we find out that the Pokerus lab in this town has been taken over by the Team Gaia grunts. So of course, it's up to us to go in and chase them away. The boss really seems adamant on killing weak Pokemon, so we give his team a good beating in order to get him out of there. As a reward, we get given the Smash Hammer, which is basically Rock Smash. So now we can explore the nearby caves a bit more, like getting jumped by a boss Aggron. But we also find a shiny stone down here, which is how Kadabra evolves in this game. So now we have an even stronger member of the party. But past all of that, we come back to Coral Town and moved onto Route 16, which is a nice little coastal side route with islands and bridges. There's also an Eon Shrine on this route as well, where we're supposed to meet up with Rebecca, who was the explorer from earlier. We have to solve one of these tile puzzles inside before we get access to a hidden room with a crystal inside. This has something to do with Latios and Latias, so we end up having to battle each other to activate it, where we can see a cutscene, or I guess a memory of the legendary Pokemon, where they save a Wurmple getting jumped by humans. But after that, we go our separate ways, and we go back to Route 16 to catch a Mr. Mime before we reach Jade City. And there's a gym here as well, but unfortunately, the gym leader is is out at the safari, so I guess we have to bring them back. We try to get into the safari, but we're stopped by Sub, who, of course, challenges us to a battle. It's light work now, though, especially since most of our Pokemon are fully evolved now. I mean, Fry Jr. kinda just solos by himself, but that's besides the point. The safari zone is pretty big, and we have to go deep into it to find the building where the gym leader is hiding in. We find Fleur chatting to some of the rangers, but after listening to us and realizing we're here for the badge, she runs back to the gym. We still have some business left in the safari zone, because after a long grueling search, we managed to snag ourselves a giraffe rig. We're not gonna use it, but at least we have it, you know? The next gym is a grass type, which is okay for us. We don't exactly have any super effective Pokemon, except like Natu and Jinx, so I decided to train them up and bring them along for this gym fight. And this gym was more annoying than anything, because each room had doors that led to either another room or back to the beginning. So I was slowly losing my mind since I have the attention span of an iPad addicted 4-year-old child, but in the end, Fry Jr. was the one who carried the fight, not the flying and ice type I brought. Outside of the gym, we see our sister who gives us the hoverboard, which is basically the Surf HM. But now that we're done with all of that, I leveled my Pokemon up a little bit and evolved Curlia into Gallade with a Dawnstone that I found, and also Homer the Slowpoke into Slowking. I personally think Slowking is cooler than Slowbro, but let me know which one you guys prefer. We explore Route 17 a little bit, which is above the town, but that also leads to Matang to evolve into Metagross, so now I think our team is basically finalized for the entire game, with Medicham, Alakazam, Gardevoir, Metagross, Slowking, and Espeon. But now that we're stocked with all our new HMs from this island, we can go back through the Devil's Wreath and unlock a new part to bring us to the next section of the map. On our way out though, we have to get past this foggy area where of course we're jumped by a bunch of boss Pokemon. I've been calling them boss Pokemon, but maybe they're just alphas, who knows. We have to fight a Banette, Houndoom, and Dusclops, but it's pretty easy stuff. This exit leads us to the ocean where we now have to surf back over to the mainland. There's a massive shrine in the middle of this Route 19, but that comes into play a little bit later. For now, we can catch a Staryu, which I did debate on switching out in place of Slowking, but I didn't. We do reach some solid land with a Pokemon Center, but there's still a ways to go. Past Route 20, we reach Route 21 and 22, which is a massive dam. But it's raining really heavily, which is apparently not good, and you can also see a bunch of B-Barrel all squashed up together. We have to move past for now though, and get to the next gym leader, which is our sister. But we're stopped in our tracks by Scribe yet again. This time, I'm not losing though. He may have cooked me at the start of the game, but now I get to give him a good beating. And after that, that means we finally reach Slateburg City. I actually take this time to fly back to some of the older towns and cities to clear up any side quests I can do, since my team is a lot stronger now. So we do all of that for a few extra items that we could maybe use and progress some of the side quest storylines. Once we're done with that though, we come back to Slateburg City and do some shopping since there's a market here. There's also a Magikarp race gambling thing, so I entered it of course, and my Magikarp actually won. I still have no idea how the game works, but I guess my Magikarp is just better. After grabbing everything we possibly can from around the city, we head to the gym to fight our sister. But she instead needs our help with the massive clusters of B-Barrel on Route 21 from before. So we head down there and turns out a Gyarados is down there threatening them. So we take it down pretty quick with Gardevoir, and that's pretty much it. We just got forced into a boss fight. After that, we head back to the gym, which is a water type gym. The whole gym is a huge body of water which we have to surf on, and there's levers that activate and deactivate certain whirlpools blocking our way. We actually evolved and brought along Chicken the Executor for this gym fight against Aqua, but Gardevoir literally just soloed 3 of our 4 Pokemon until Fry Jr. came to clean up, of course, you know, he's the MVP. But that means we now have our 6th gym badge. I head to the nearby Route 24, which holds yet another Eon Shrine. We meet Rebecca inside again, solve the puzzle, battle, get another cutscene, the usual. After that, I take my time exploring the route and also Route 25, but there's no new Pokemon for me here. However, we do eventually reach Loclay Town instead, where Team Gaia have of course taken over a building yet again. A Grunt is standing outside keeping guard, so we beat him up and he runs in the direction of Route 26, so now we have to chase after him. We catch up and he hands it over to us without a problem, which is nice of him. Back in the building, it's crammed with a few other Team Gaia members, so we dismantle them until we reach the end where their boss Scarlet shows up. She challenges us to a battle, and it actually ends up pretty close towards the end, with me having to stall with 6-7 in order to defeat her. But in the end, we still managed to get it done, although it does seem like the Grunts managed to steal the Nano Cutter, which is basically just a laser cutter, while we were busy fighting. Somehow we wind up being assigned the task to chase them down, so I guess we have to go do that. They ran into the nearby Elemental Stone Cave, which I honestly got lost in very quickly. I'm not sure what it is, but I suck at navigating caves. But I mean, hey, we eventually get out, and on this route is the Battle Tower actually, but I'm not interested in that. We go past Route 21, past the mines, and into Iron Rock City finally. immediately. I go back to explore the iron mines nearby, which has a few evolutionary stones for us, but not much of interest in here. Back in the city, there is a trainer who can teach Pokemon some of the elemental punches, so we teach Ice Punch and Thunder Punch to Steven for some nice coverage. We have to go to the museum in the city to find the gym leader before we can challenge them, and it turns out it's Professor Spruce's husband. Oh, and Professor Oak is also here for some reason. But anyways, this city's gym is a ground type gym, which is absolutely perfect for Homer to walk in and sweep. And that's quite literally what she did. Up until the gym fight, which was actually pretty scary because of Pokemon like Garchomp and Rhyperior who hit like a truck. So I brought along Frenchie the Starmie who knows Ice Beam to help out a little bit. Homer takes down Steelix, Garchomp takes out Homer, Frenchie takes out Garchomp, Frenchie takes out Mamoswine, Rhyperior takes out Frenchie, but yet again, Fry Jr. comes in to clean it all up. He's just so reliable, man. I mean, Rhyperior was on 1 HP, but whatever. Now it's time for us to leave and head to the place where our final gym badge is. So we head on up to Low Claytown since there's a train station there that was previously not working. And that brings us to Up Claytown. Wow, what a name. I spent time exploring the nearby stone caves and talking to everyone, but I quickly just start making my way through the Silver Glacier to get to the next place. It's a bunch of ice tile sliding puzzles in here, but it's light work for me. It's a constant switch between going inside of caves and outside of snowstorms, and all I want to say is surely they could have toned down the snowstorm effect out here. I can barely see. But we do finally beat the snowstorm and reach Silver Peak City, which is really nice. I waste no time and head to the gym immediately, which turns out to be a steel type gym, which I was surprised about. But it's good for Fry Jr. though. This gym features puzzles with warp tiles and also those fling tiles that spin you around. If you go through the wrong portal, you get sent all the way back to the start, and genuinely, I was doing fine at the start, but once you get deeper, it was slowly starting to piss me off. But whatever, we reach Alexa, the gym leader, and she's bad. But that's besides the point. Fry Jr. just kills everything in his path, and yeah, that's kind of the final gym badge, I guess. All I have to do at this point is spam high jump kick and hope it lands every time. But this means that we can go back to Titania City now and challenge the Pokemon League. We also pick up the shiny charm on our way there, which is pretty cool. Don't think I'll be getting any use out of it though. Anyways, the Pokemon League kind of works a bit differently here, in the sense that it's a Pokemon battle tournament before you can get access to Victory Road. We meet up with Sub in the lobby here, and Scribe also turns up, but he's already won the tournament and is going to make his way into the Titanium Plateau. That doesn't really concern me though, and I put my name down for the next qualifying tournament. Not a lot really goes down here. Fry Jr. just high jump kicks and prays every single Pokemon. When we get to Sub though, that's a different story, and we nearly get defeated. Luckily, 6-7 outspeeds at the very last Pokemon and we win. Our mom and sister come to congratulate us, and Sub seems to be a little bit sad that she lost, but she's gonna enter the next one right away. Honestly, to me, it just smells like cope. She does give us an egg though, which she says is a very special Pokemon, so I'm pretty excited for that. So into Victory Road we go, and it was actually pretty short unfortunately, which kind of sucks. If you know me, you know I love a really nice long Victory Road. At least at the end, there was a boss fight where we got jumped by 3 Pokemon again, like that one time in the cave, but we got rid of them pretty easily. The egg Sub gave us also hatches around this time, and it turns out to be Chikorita. Yeah, I'm getting rid of that ugly thing straight away. However, now it's finally time for the ultimate challenge, the Elite Four and Champion. So we take our time to stock up on everything and prepare for the Elite Four. First up is the Elite Four member Nora. She leads with a Heracross and we lead with Medicham. We managed to one-shot Heracross, which is perfect, and in comes a Medicham as well. Well, no worries, we take it down as well. Since Nora is a fighting type specialist, this Elite Four fight is really easy for our psychic types. Or I guess just really easy for Fry Jr. to solo. Anyways, onto the next Elite Four member, which is Cliff, a grizzly old man. It's pretty easy to tell he'll have some sort of ground type, so I lead with Homer expecting that. And Cliff ends up leading with a Steelix, which we use Surf on to force out a full restore while we switch into Fry Jr. We land a Force Palm, which paralyzes, while Steelix goes for a Stealth Rocks. We take him out on the next turn, and in comes Crobat, who lands a Poison Jab, but it doesn't do too much, and we end up one-shotting it with Psycho Cut. In comes Kangaskhan now, so I'm a bit confused on what the theme for his team is. Regardless, we can knock it out with a high jump kick since we don't miss. Same goes for the Aerodactyl, Mamoswine, and Rhyperior. I guess we just one-shot them all. That's pretty nice. This means we can move on to the next member of the Elite Four now, which is Dusk. And this time it's a double battle with Umbreon and Espeon leading the fight. I did not expect this at all, but I ended up sending Fry Jr. and Homer. We Force Palm the Umbreon, which paralyzes it, and Shadow Ball the Espeon, which brings both of them down to the red. Unfortunately, Umbreon has the ability Synchronize, so Fry Jr. also gets paralyzed, which sucks. Dusk heals the Espeon while we manage to take care of the Umbreon. In the place of him, in comes a Frostlass. Because we're paralyzed, Frost can knock out Homer before we can move. In fact, we don't get to move this turn at all since we get stuck in paralysis. We end up sending out Alakazam, who knocks out the Frost with a Shadow Ball, but that also activates Cursed Body, which disables our Shadow Ball. Fry Jr. also lands a Rock Slide on the Espeon to knock it out, so that's 2 Pokemon down. Absol and Alakazam come in now. We don't have access to Shadow Ball anymore, so dealing damage with 6-7 is a bit troublesome, as well as Fry Jr. also went down. We send out Treadmill to help, while 6-7 knocks out the other Alakazam with Energy Ball, and a super effective Signal Beam from Treadmill takes Absol down to the red. Absol does end up landing a critical Night Slash onto Treadmill, so he dies as well. I send out Gardevoir, while Dusk sends out Gengar, and after this, it's basically pretty easy to take care of the remaining Pokemon using Psychic on Gengar and Moonblast on Absol. With that, we've managed to defeat Dusk, meaning we can now move on again onto the final member of the Elite Four. The final member is Tamara, whose team is centered around Dragon types. She leads with Flygon, and we end up sending out Gardevoir. I actually decide to switch out here for some reason. It's a Homer. I don't remember what I was thinking, but we get hit with 2 crunches before we can land a Surf, which brings Flygon down to the red. This draws a full restore out, so we can get another move off before dying to Dragon Rush. I decide to send out Steven, which probably wasn't the best idea in the world, but we tank an Earthquake and land an Ice Punch to take it out. Next, we get taken out by the freshly switched in Kingdra, so we have to swap into Gardevoir, who tanks a Blizzard really well before KOing Kingdra with a super effective Moonblast. Altaria comes in now, so we hit it with a Thunderbolt since we know Altaria can't do much damage to us. We manage to take it down in 2, which is perfect until a Garchomp comes out. She outspeeds and lands an Iron Head, so we have to send out Fry Jr., who just nukes Garchomp with a High Jump Kick somehow. Second to last Pokemon now, Salamence comes out, so we go for a Rock Slide, expecting to do a bit of damage. But Fry Jr. one-shots the Salamence as well. So the final Pokemon of Tamara, Dragonite, comes in. We land a Rock Slide to take a decent chunk of health off while we die to an Outrage. But not to worry, 6-7 comes in to outspeed and clean up here by using a Psychic and knocking out Dragonite with ease. So that now means we have defeated every single member of the Elite Four, so there's only one thing left for us to do, and that's to defeat the champion. Actually, you know what? I'll commentate the final battle without a script. Anyways, let's get into the final fight. Alright, so this is a bit weird. This is my first time doing a live commentary. Kind of a live commentary. It's like a live voiceover. I might be stuttering quite a bit, but let's get past this guy's little monologue here about glazing himself.
A few moments later.
Alright, let's do this. So, Scribe sends out a Sizzle. Okay, and what do we send out? We sent out Fry Jr. It's been a while since I've seen this battle, so I don't remember exactly what happened. We High Jump Kick Sizzle. One-shot it. Okay. Fry Jr. is kind of cooking this entire Elite Four. We Rock Slide the Salamence. Does it one-shot? No, just about. It does get to the red. We get hit with Fire Fang. Okay. So this Salamence is a little bit more bulky than the previous one. Scribe uses a full restore as well. We use a Rock Slide. Does this... That's a bit of a lower roll. That's fine. We heal up a little bit with leftovers. One more full restore out of Scribe. You know, we can burn all of his full restores. Hit another Rock Slide. Hit a little bit more. Another full restore. How many full restores does this guy have? It's a pretty bad roll as well. It's pretty low. Where he avoids our next one. We get hit with a Fire Fan. That brings us to about half HP. Okay. Okay, there we go. We hit the next Rock Slide, and that's Salamence down as well. Fry Jr. 2 kills, 0 deaths so far. Look at that. Next is Tyranitar. Hey, that's a pretty bad move, I'm just saying. We hit it with Force Palm. That's quite effective. That doesn't one-shot because he has the berry. Okay. Oh, Fry Jr. goes down. Hold up. Oh, no. Who do we send in? We send in Steven. All right. That's decent. So we hit it with a Meteor Mash. Does this give us a attack boost? It does not. Unlucky. Arcanine comes in now. This is bad for us. Intimidate. You should probably switch out. No, I did not switch out. Okay, I just tank a Flare Blitz. I did not tank a Flare Blitz. That just kills me. That's fine though. Homer. Yep, Homer comes in. And we Surf, of course. Thunderfang. Surf knocks it out. We're at half HP from our Life Orb though. I don't remember my thought process during this battle, man. What do? We hit it with a Psychic. No, we got taken out with a Wood Hammer. Okay. Next up is Treadmill coming in. We hit it with a Power Gem. That's good. A good move. Good move. Brings it down to the red. Wood Hammer. That one-shots us. But he also dies to the recoil as well. That's fine. We're down to 2 now. We've seen our 6-7. And Scribe is down to 1 only. Okay. We do have Energy Ball. Yep, we do have Energy Ball. So do we click it? Yeah, we hit it. Bang. That is not one shot. He has the berry. Why does he put berries on all of his Pokemon? That has to be better. Waterfall one-shots us. But it's fine. Gardevoir comes out. And we outspeed. 100% we outspeed. Yeah, we outspeed. We hit Psychic. And that is the end of that. No, that's impossible. I lost. How could I lose against a bunch of losers? Yeah, and there's old granny coming here to spank him, I guess. But with that, it brings us to the end of our journey here. Thank you so much for watching it this far. Make sure to like and subscribe to help me out. The MVP for this journey was definitely Fried Jr., the Medicham. Couldn't have done it without him. Just one-shotting everything. But yeah, I hope you will join me for our next adventure, whenever that may be.